for the Alamo. And so we're very, very honored to have Dr. Tim Westley for General Land Commissioner.
Hello, Texans. All right. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you all are here as well. As Brandon mentioned, I've been in the fight for a while. Many people run for office and they simply want that office. They're not ready to fight for we the people. But my story goes back a little while. Goes back to 2015 when I found myself on a campaign trail for the first time. December of 2015 to be exact. And I wasn't sure what was taking place. My wife and I and kids decided we're going to get out because there's so much that's taking place and we need to take this fight to Washington. We need to take it to Austin and beyond. And what really pushed me to get off the seat as a veteran of the U.S. Army, 7 years active duty, one in the Texas National Guard, I realized that I had to do something to fight for our veterans. That was one of the reasons. I also realized that at the time, we were losing over 100 babies per hour due to abortion. And I realized it was time to fight. Those were the two reasons that pushed me towards my candidacy for U.S. Congress to run for CD 15, Congressional 15, District 15 of Texas. After that point, I realized something unique happened. We prayed because I'm a praying man. I believe in, yes, that's all right. I believe in the power of God. I believe in the power of being able to measure your success. I wrote a book called 21 Keys and Power Steps to Success. And in that book, one of the things I said, how do you measure success? You have to measure it based on what you believe is going to be a success for you. So even though we fell short on the congressional campaign, we thrived and we flew high because we gained success. How so, you may ask? During that time as a congressional candidate, I was the first person to go and meet with our Border Patrol agents at their location. Keeping in mind, the current congressman was literally walking distance across the street. So as Tracy and I did private tours with the Border Patrol, as we toured the border and saw what was taking place, we were able to do a round table with Border Patrol agents, finding out exactly what the problems was. And I said, being that I'm running for office, if I'm elected, what are the two things that you all would need the most? They gave me the two things. I said, of those two, what would be number one? And they said, we're going to need some help. How much help do you need? We need someone to process for us because we're having to babysit, change diapers, feed, etc. And we're not able to go out and do our jobs. So let's fast forward. My election, it's November 2016. I'm knocked out of the race. But I made a promise because it's not about me winning a position, it's about me doing a job for we the people. Yes, and at this point, we move forward. And I said I'm going to continue to make this fight public, and I'm going to continue to push this fight forward. Long story short, ultimately, after about 2 years after that point, we were able to move forward just with legislation that I proposed to my congressman. They were able to gain 200 new jobs. 200 new jobs and $10 million worth of appropriations money. Why do I mention that? We have a lot of people that will say what they will do, and we have a lot of people that, if they do not meet the mark on the day of election, they're done. I kept fighting. I kept fighting. November 2016, election's over. December 2016, I'm still fighting. And I continue to fight. I decided to run again for U.S. Congress. Fell short again by the numbers, but by the grace of God, flew high once again. How so? I received a call from a woman while I was on the campaign trail. No ordinary person, this is a Gold Star mom. For those that know about Gold Star parents and Gold Star families, we're talking about families that's lost a loved one on active duty. Loved one that was serving our country lost their lives. During this campaign, this person calls me up and says, hey, I need your help. I'm a Gold Star mom. My son was killed while serving on active duty, and someone told me to call you. You can help. I said, well, I'm running for U.S. Congress. How can I help? She gave me all the details. I said, we're going to fight because as a veteran, I can feel your pain, and we're going to fight. Even though I had my hands full with a congressional campaign, when you're truly there to serve people, you find the time and you find a way. I found the time and I found a way. we began fighting for her cause. And that cause was for our son Adam Huckstep. And so what we had was a bill that we put forward called the Two-Step Act. We forwarded it to the House in Washington. We forwarded it to the Senate in Washington, to no avail. We also forwarded it to then President Donald J. Trump. And just before his November election, whereby he fell short, and we know there are various reasons why, he wrote this Gold Star Mom. And he said, I like this Two-Step Act, legislation that I wrote on behalf of her. We're going to push it forward. I'm sending it to the location it needs to move forward. We don't know whether it went to the House or the Senate, but we do know Donald J. Trump was not reelected, and that potential legislation fell short. But we kept fighting in the Texas House, kept fighting, and we were able to get the bill moved forward quite a bit, but we couldn't get it to a point where they were going to be voting on it. But we're not done, because I spoke with that Gold Star Mom this week. As I reached out to her, she said, I have a current congressman ready to take it up in Washington one more time. Why do I bring this up? If I want a job, I have 4 job offers in 4 different states right now as we stand. I have many of these opportunities. It's not about a job. It's about serving we the people. It's about making sure that the next generation is going to be able to enjoy the Texas that we've come to enjoy. I'm running right now for Texas Land Commissioner. And someone asked me, why are you running for Land Commissioner? If I had a choice in this thing and I really didn't want to run, I could have sat on the sideline. And I tried not running because I was exhausted. After my last campaign, I found myself ballooned up to a weight that was unhealthy. I found myself basically on a bed that could have been my deathbed. Found myself in the hospital for about a week, not sure if I was going to live or die. Yet and still, I got to a point where I said, talking to my wife, I said, I don't know about running for another office. Don't know about it. I think I need to just sit it down and stay put. For those that don't know, I'm the current historian for the Republican Party of Texas, appointed by then Chairman Lieutenant Colonel retired Allen West, reappointed by the current chairman, Matt Rinaldi.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm currently in that position, and I've traveled around with that particular position throughout the great state of Texas for almost 2 years now. So I've been serving Republicans. I've been serving the great state of Texas. But I realized I wasn't done yet. I recall telling my wife, I need to get down to a specific weight before I can ever consider getting on the campaign trail. I will tell y'all that weight I needed to get down to in a short period of time meant that I needed to trim down at least 50 pounds. At least 50 pounds. And not only that, I said certain things will have to line up before I do it. And I said, I'm passionate about veterans issues. So I called my wife up one day and I said, hey, I stepped on the scale, guess where it was at? It was at that weight to the 0. I said, okay, that's it. That's one thing, but I'm still not ready. And I'm perusing through the internet, and I saw that one official with the Land Commissioner's office said that the veteran cemeteries in the great state of Texas is a waste of money.
What? No.
I'm putting it in layman's terms. It's a waste of money. It's a money pit. At that point, when I read that article, I told my wife, I said, we have 6 veteran cemeteries in the great state of Texas that's run and overseen by the Texas Land Commissioner's office. We have 1.4 million veterans in the great state of Texas. We have 9 veteran homes in the great state of Texas. And if we have a culture in the Land Commissioner's office, and it was a culture that does not respect our veterans, I said, as a veteran, I must go to Austin and change that culture.
Right.
Yes. So that pushed me to go ahead and make this run. We get on the ballot, and at this point, we get on the ballot at the last day. I bring this up because it wasn't easy to run, but as you see on this sign, Texas is worth fighting for.
Yes.
Texas is worth fighting for. We're the only state that has flown the flags of 6 different nations. We're the only state that can fly their flag at the same height as the U.S. flag. And we're the only state that can say that our capital stands higher than the Capitol in Washington by 7 feet. Texas is worth fighting for. Yeah. So why land commissioner? The land commissioner's office is a multifaceted office that's going to take a person with a multifaceted background. Starting from the top, when we look at the land that's covered, there are 13 million acres of public land that the land commissioner has to manage. With that land, we're talking about land sales, land leases. We're talking about things like energy independence. How many of you all are sick of high gas prices? Yes. You may wonder, well, what does the land commissioner have to do with it? We have to make sure that we fight from this platform, as I shared in an interview here recently. This platform has to be one where we increase our oil and gas exploration. Not decrease it, but increase it. We have to be at a point where we have a land commissioner bold enough not only to speak in Austin, Texas, but bold enough to say, I'm going to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to speak on behalf of Texans. I'm going to speak on behalf of our state and our nation. Too often we have people in these positions think that we should be boxed in. I'm not going to be boxed in because I'm never stepping in the box. So I don't have to think outside of the box. My thought process is we take the fight to Austin, we take the fight to Washington, we take the fight of we the people to all those that don't want to represent us. We take it to them with someone who does, and that's Dr. Tim Westley. In addition to this fight, we have to look at our veterans. I mentioned that already, so I won't reiterate any of those points. You've heard them. But we also have our monuments to protect. We have those to protect. Some may look and say, well, what is so important about protecting the monuments? Well, this land office is overseeing the protection of the Alamo. Overseeing the protection of the Alamo. Places like San Jacinto, those monuments that we have there, and all throughout the great state of Texas. Why protect history? Because if we do not protect history, and they continue to try to move statues, tear them down, tear down monuments, what's going to happen to that history? It's going to be lost. And once it's lost, it can be rewritten. And once it's rewritten, lies can be told, and those lies can be promoted to the next generation, and they'll be lost and not ever have a clue as what the past was going to render for them to have a stronger future. I hope that you all are with me. There's a reason we fight to protect the monuments. Yes, it's important. It's important. Who do you want protecting monuments? Someone who just says they're going to protect them? Or someone who stood with people like This Is Texas Freedom Force? Someone who stood between Black Lives Matter and Texas Freedom Force on the day that they came down, people said they're going to burn down the Alamo. Who stood with the Texas Freedom Force at the time between both groups? Who stood with them with a petition in hand and asked those that were there with BLM, what are you trying to accomplish and who are you trying to reach? Guess what? I have a petition in my hand trying to resolve the issues that you all are complaining about today, and I have a ton of names on here. You know whose names are on this petition right now? These guys behind me that's locked and loaded and the camouflage right now. That's who signed this. Now, are you willing to sign it? And they all began to sign it. But the media didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you that. Neither did they tell you that there was a person by the name of Dr. Tim Westley, that the BLM people that were there said, will you pray for us?
Wow. Oh, wow.
It's caught on camera. It's on camera. Someone filmed it.
Amen.
You need a leader that's bold enough to say, I don't just talk about God for political points, but I talk about him because he's real in my life. Amen. Someone bold enough to know that I'm not the smartest person in the room, but the Holy Spirit, he is. And so we move forward with this. Why the Land Commissioner's Office? As an educator, one that has gone into public classrooms and that's been in the university classrooms for well over 10 years, a PhD in educational leadership. I know education quite well. I've taught students who went on to teach students. I know the system quite well. But what I also know is statistics and facts. And stats show that when it comes down to education in Texas, our students are in the bottom half of the 50 states. The bottom half of the 50 states. And it's simply not acceptable. Some may ask, well, what does the land commissioner have to do with that? I'm glad you asked. The land commissioner's office, when it started in the late 1800s, one of the main charges, all the land that was being sold, the portion of that land being sold and leased, money was going to be placed in what's now called a permanent school fund. And that permanent school fund was going to be used in order to promote education throughout Texas for public schools. Right now, today, that permanent school fund is in excess of $45 billion.
And my school doesn't have enough teachers.
When I'm elected, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix it. How? Because that money goes from the Texas Land Commissioner's office, and much of it goes directly to TEA, the Texas Education Agency. You're going to have a land commissioner that's going to be able to tell them that this money pot you've been enjoying while our kids have been suffering, we're going to put a squeeze on that until you get this thing right. There is no way on this side of heaven we should have $45 billion in a surplus fund and continually growing, and will continue to grow. And our next generation is suffering in these classrooms. There's no way this should be possible. So you're going to have a fighter that's going to be thinking again outside of the box because I never went into one. Bold enough to tell them this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to be placing people on notice. One thing they're going to do with me in Austin, they're not going to like me too much. They're not going to like me, but you will love me because you're going to see results. And so we're going to fight. We're going to fight to make sure that the Land Commissioner's office is doing the right thing by people. And then when it comes to natural disasters, I told you this is a multifaceted job. Hurricane Harvey, how many of you all remember Hurricane Harvey? We have people that are still reeling from Hurricane Harvey right now. That natural disaster. Not just that one, but multiple natural disasters. It's not a matter of if they will happen. It's a matter of when they will happen. And the Land Commissioner's office oversees a lot of the federal funding that comes into Texas to make sure that Texans can get back on their feet in a timely manner. It's managed by the Land Commissioner's office. Do we need to see debacles? Just Google what's taken place with some of the instances of natural disasters and how they've been handled by the Land Commissioner's office. I don't blame the workers that's there. It starts with leadership. Yes. So we have to look at the leadership. You're going to have a leader that's worked with a nonprofit organization. You're going to have a leader that was at one point trained as a manager for the Red Cross for shelter management. You're going to have one that's grassroots as grassroots can come. Not only one that's been at the Alamo on the front lines, but one that's been around for natural disasters on the front line. One that's going to be able to manage, one that's going to be able to lead, one that's going to be able to listen to we the people, one that's going to be able to let you all know that we're going to be prepared so when natural disasters, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, whatever may hit, we're not going to be reacting, but the Texas Land Commissioner's office will be acting. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm going to bring to that office and much more. So why me in close? Why me? Because my background as a PhD educator, my background as the current historian of the Republican Party of Texas, my background as a grassroots activist, my background as a public servant, my background as a nonprofit leader, my background as an author, my background as an advocate, my background as I'm a part of the we the people, my background. And not only that, but being able to listen to you all. Events like this is so important. I had someone ask me, I went up to Rome, Texas here recently. They said, where did you travel from? I said, Selma, Texas. And they looked, said, Selma? I said, San Antonio. They said, you drove a long way to get here. Are you going back tonight? I said, yes. They said, why did you drive so far? I said, because Texas is worth fighting for. Texas is worth fighting for. My challenge to you all, early voting starts on Monday, February 14th. It runs through February 25th. Election day is on March 1st. My challenge to you, because the votes that you cast, it may take you 5 minutes to cast those votes, but you're gonna have to deal with the consequences for 4 years. 4 years. You have to be absolutely certain of who you casting a vote for. I had someone ask me in the past, why vote for you? I challenge you all to do the same thing. Look at all the candidates. Look at what they have to offer. Google Dr. Tim Westley, you're gonna find decades of public information on me. I'm the most transparent candidate you're gonna find on that list. And when it's all said and done, I can guarantee you one thing. You will have a clear-cut candidate to vote for, and it's gonna be none other than Dr. Tim Westley. For those that want information, it's on your tables. You can also go to our website at Texans4tim.com. May God bless you. May God bless the great state of Texas. And may God bless America. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Westley. Now y'all see why we find so much passion in him. It's wonderful to find Texans like that. So our next speaker is fixing to come to the stage. He's running for governor of Texas. I think we're all here because we're ready to replace Abbott. So welcome to the stage, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West.
How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Been a busy day. We were down there, had a little debate forum with the old San Francisco steakhouse down there. And of course, as usual, there was a person that was missing. I think we've had 11 debate forums and he's not showing up to any of them. But yet I think he wants you to vote for him, but he doesn't want to stand out in front of you. So, you know, that's what leadership is all about. You present yourself before folks if you want to be able to have their vote. Can you hear me back there okay? Is everything good? I'm sorry we don't have the microphone system set up, but I'll use my paratrooper voice if that's okay. Hey, look, it's always great to be here in San Antonio because San Antonio is kind of like the guardian city of the history of the great state of Texas. Because when you think about the Alamo, you think about the cenotaph, you think about all of the historical monuments and markers, and being born and raised in Georgia and attending the University of Texas.
You want this?
It's up to them.
Can y'all hear him okay in the back?
All right.
No? All right.
Here we go. Say no.
Yeah, the microphone.
You get some bigger love.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, my mom used to use this when she called me to get back into the house. So. But again, like I said, when you think about the fact that I was born and raised in Georgia and graduated from the University of Tennessee, that's why the Alamo is so important to me, because there's 5 names of Georgians down there on that cenotaph. There are 38 names of people from the state of Tennessee, and of course you know that they're called the Tennessee Volunteers. There's a former United States House of Representatives member that when he lost his congressional re-election, he infamously said, "May you all go to hell, I'm going to Texas," and that's of course Davy Crockett. So there's a lot of history there that means a lot to me. And when I think about Brandon and this incredible organization and what they have stood for, what they have done, when Black Lives Matter and a lot of these progressive socialists said that they were going to go and burn down the Alamo, they were going to go and destroy the cenotaph, Texans stood up, Brandon stood up with this organization. That's why I will always support them. And a lot of people will say, well, Colonel, you were the party chairman for the Republican Party of Texas. Why would you step down to run to be the governor of the state of Texas? Because one of our legislative priorities that we had for the 87th legislative session last year was to protect our historical monuments and markers here in the state of Texas. And when you saw that that did not get any support from the governor of Texas, it did not get any support from the lieutenant governor, It did not get any support in the House or the Senate. When you think about the fact in the Texas State House, we have 15 Democrats that have chairmanship positions in our Texas State House. And they were the type of people that blocked that type of legislation to protect our history. Let me tell you something. History is not there for people to decide what should be up, what should be taken down. History is there, good, bad, indifferent, or the other, for us to teach our children, for us to learn from. Because there was George Santayana, a Spanish political philosopher. Well, I think you all know these words. Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And you think about what's going on in this country where we have this 1619 project, which is trying to tell us that the United States of America was not founded on July the 4th of 1776, but it was founded when the quote-unquote first slave ship arrived in 1619. And it wasn't even Virginia, really. It wasn't America. It wasn't anything that we know today. But that's how these people that want to not just revise history, but to eliminate history. And the important thing about it, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you are. And if you don't know where you are, you will never know where you're headed. And that's why we must protect this. And that's why you step down from being the chairman, to step up to run to be the governor of the great state of Texas, because we got a fight that is going on. You know, some of us in here, I see a Vietnam veteran, United States Army, welcome home, sir, and thank you for your service. But those of us that serve in the United States military, we took an oath. And San Antonio is known as Military City, USA. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law used to live here. They've both since passed. My father-in-law is now buried in Arlington National Cemetery. The only Jamaican immigrant is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. 24 years of service in the Army, 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. But the thing is about Military City, USA. We all took that oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and we've got some domestic enemies right now. People that are standing up against our Constitution, be it the United States Constitution and the Texas State Constitution. And that's why our history is so important. And that's why when you look at what is going on our border, this is not by happenstance. This is not by coincidence. This is a wholehearted effort to destroy the essence of what Texas is. So that little bitty baby girl right there will not have the exact same Texas that we're living in. Because Texas is not just a piece of land in between the Gulf of Mexico, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Louisiana. Texas is a sovereign state. And when you read the Declaration of Independence, it was free and independent states that created these United States of America. When you read the Constitution that we took an oath to, you know, Joe Biden said last week in New York that no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. But that's the second time he said that. And I want you to think about the 10th Amendment. What does the 10th Amendment say? All of those powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the state and to the people. Okay, let me say this again, because obviously y'all, all of the powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the state and to the people. So why are we sitting around and letting the federal government usurp our duties and responsibilities? The Constitution only lists about 18 things that the federal government is responsible for. Article 1, Section 8. The Constitution also says that the federal government is supposed to guarantee to every state in the Union to protect us from invasion. You all are living not too far away from that border. You know what is going on here in San Antonio. And I think it is absolutely abhorrent that we have homeless veterans, yet we have illegal immigrants that are living nice in hog's heaven in these hotels that we're paying for. Now, here in the state of Texas, we have illegal immigrants here that are getting taxpayer-funded benefits. Here in the state of Texas, we got Texans losing their homes because they can't keep up with the property taxes. That's all got to stop.
Yes, sir.
We have got to put you, the people of Texas, as first and foremost in our minds. Yes. And you've got to have servants that go up there to Austin and realize that they're supposed to serve you.
Yes, sir.
They're called public servants for a reason. Yes. But for whatever reason, they think that they're special interest servants. They think that they're PAC servants. They think that they're lobbyist servants. They think that they're self-serving. We've got to restore that. And it's Dr. Westley, who I love very near and dear, and you can see good looking picture of him back here in uniform. I know why she married him. I kind of like that pose too. Is that I'm smart pose. You ain't gonna never see a picture of me like that. Because I was just a paratrooper. I just jumped out of airplanes. But But here's the thing. You have an opportunity unlike any opportunity, and it only happens every 10 years. Every 10 years, there's a census. And with the census, there's redistricting. And with the redistricting, that means that every single elected official must run for re-election. That means every single state house member. That means every single state senator. And here, this year, all of the statewide offices. That voting starts the 14th of February. Now, last year, the 14th of February, I think y'all remember what happened in the state of Texas. We looked like North Korea. And a satellite imagery map at night. And you laugh, but we did. But the point is, the reason why that happened is because people are more so paying attention to who is giving them campaign contributions. Because on the 9th of February, Governor Abbott got an award from a wind energy pack as a leader in wind energy. And then 5 days later, the wind turbine stopped blowing. So you got an opportunity to make a difference with this. You got an opportunity to understand that the ballot box is your first means by which you restore true governance. Not an idea where people believe that they can lord over you. We live in a constitutional republic, not a constitutional monarchy. And I want you to go back and start looking at some old Schoolhouse Rock episodes. Remember that Saturday morning on ABC? Because a lot of us have forgotten how you make a law. An edict, an order, a mandate, and a decree does not equal law. But yet you have people that are sitting around thinking that they can make decisions saying who and what's essential. Show me where a governor or anyone has the enumerated power to decide which business can stay open and which business has to close. Show me where a governor has the power to say that if you're a healthy person, you got to stay locked up in your house. Show me where the governor has the power to say you have to put a face diaper on. If you don't take the face, if you take the face diaper off, you're going to be fined. That's unlawful taxation. But yet that's exactly what happened because we aren't paying attention anymore. Complacency and apathy are what will kill us. Especially when you look at the electoral elites that we're fighting against and the progressive socialist left that have clearly put their sights on Texas. You know, Brandon, I think it's so interesting that you went down there last year to protect the Alamo, correct? Yes, sir. There were 3 Texans that wrote a book last year. And the title of that book is called Forgetting the Alamo. The Rise and Fall of an American Myth. They're right here. And that's what they're doing. When you look at the fact that we have people in our education system that believes we shouldn't teach Texas history anymore. They're right here. So this is a fight that we all have to stand up for. And I just want to be in the fight with you. Right. 22 years in the United States Army. And when I went over to through Checkpoint Charlie, and I saw East Berlin. How many people here have ever seen East Berlin? How many folks have ever gone over there? When you go and saw what was on the other side of the Iron Curtain, you do not ever want to see that here in the United States of America. Right. But guess what? Progressivism, socialism, Marxism, communism, statism, everything that destroyed those people and their will and their desire and their dreams, now is happening here. They tore down a wall, but yet a wall is going up here. And if we don't stand up and fight, I saw empty shelves in stores over there. I saw despair, despondency, and depression. I saw people that wouldn't look at you eye to eye. I saw complete government control, and that's exactly the same thing they want here. Yes, sir. Tell me, where does it say that the federal government is supposed to protect your health? Where does it say that the federal government is supposed to tell you what gets injected into your body? But this is the stand that you have to make. And so all I'm asking is this. On 31 July 1982, like many of you all out there, I took that oath. I took the same oath that my dad took, who fought in World War II in the segregated army. The same oath that my older brother took. He was a Marine infantryman in Vietnam. The same oath that my nephew took. He's a lieutenant colonel right now in the United States Army. The same oath that my father-in-law took, a Jamaican immigrant, and did 2 tours of combat duty. I just want to be able to take a note to the Texas State Constitution in January of next year, 2023, to continue to serve you as I've always done. And when I think about what we are engaged in right now, this is the seminal fight, the seminal battle for the future and legacy of not just the state of Texas, Not just the United States of America, but it is about the free world. You lose Texas, you lose America. You lose America, you lose the free world. Therefore, the burden is upon each and every one of us. And you should understand, like it says in the book of Esther, for a time such as this.
Yes, sir.
In this month, 186 years ago, 183 fellas showed up right here in this city. They stood on Freedom's ramparts for 13 days. On the second day of them standing there, the 24th of February of 1836, a 26-year-old wrote a letter. And you all being here in San Antonio, you should know that letter verbatim, word for word for word. He talked about how there would be no surrender. There would be no retreat. He talked about giving his life and dying for his own honor and the honor of his nation. And he signed that letter, victory or death. And you all know what happened on the morning of the 6th of March of 1836. They stood there, and they were slaughtered to a man. But they were slaughtered to a man, and their bodies were burned, and that cenotaph is there to remember them, because without the Lone Star State, the other 49 stars on the American flag do not shine brightly. Some of y'all may remember Mission Impossible. Not the Tom Cruise stuff. I'm talking about the original Mission Impossible. And then the original Mission Impossible, when he would listen to that tape, he would say, your mission, if you decide to accept it. Your mission, if you decide to accept it, is to defend the Texas Republic. To stand up for what is right and what is true. And let me tell you something, it ain't got a damn thing to do with being black, white, Hispanic, or Asian. It's all about one thing. Are you a Texan or are you not? Are you an American or are you not? Are you going to stand up and fight or are you not? Because the other side wants to divide us in order to conquer us. But we all believe in liberty and freedom. You know, my birthday was Monday of this week. 61 years of age. But I want you to think about this as I get ready to leave out of here. In 1961, I was born in a blacks-only hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. And in 6 decades, I want you to think about that. A kid that was born in a blacks-only hospital rises up to become a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army and command a battalion of 600 in combat. Gets to be a member of the United States House of Representatives. Mar-a-Lago was in the district that I represented. Rush Limbaugh was one of my constituents. A kid born in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, in a blacks-only hospital. Gets to become the chairman of the largest state Republican Party in the United States of America. And now standing before you running to be your next governor. America is about the equality of opportunity, not the equality of outcomes. And it's not based upon it's based upon what you want to do and what's in your heart. We had a saying back in the day in the United States Army till they got stupid and they had this new marketing thing.
Army of One?
Yeah, Party of One, Army of One. What a stupid thing. We used to say, be all you can be. That's what Texas is about. Texas is a place where you can come and you can be all that you can be. Texas is the living example of what America should be. Not California, not New York, not Rhode Island, not New York, not New Jersey, not any of those places, not Illinois. There's a reason why they're all coming here. Because of the reputation that you have. The only state in the United States of America which has its own Declaration of Independence. March the 1st is Election Day. March the 2nd is Texas Independence Day. What you do on March the 1st will determine what happens in the future on March the 2nd. God bless you all. God bless Texas. God bless America.
Thank you very much. Dr. Westley, come on up here. Don't run off. If you guys want to take some pictures, these two gentlemen.
Looks much better than me.
All right.
I'll send it.
Y'all stand there like y'all made.
Oh, then we'll get an attention.
There you go.
There we go.
Hold on, I got the real question.
Here's the reason. Hey, Colonel, I couldn't take that on base, so we're not allowed to take it on the base. So left work and came here, couldn't take it there.
What's the maximum effective range of an excuse? 0 meters. It should be in your car.
All right, you're absolutely right. Couldn't take it on base, but you got it, Colonel. All right, next time.
All right, remember, your personal security is your personal responsibility. And there's a reason why we have the Second Amendment. It's not just to go out and hunt. It's to protect us from a tyrannical government.
You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Any questions real quick? I gotta make a phone call in 5 minutes.
We're from the Dallas area.
I live in Garland.
What can we do to help?
You just pray, best contribution. Pray, and then go out 5 people.
10.
10. All right.
All right, 10 people. You gotta get 10 people. You gotta drag them to the polls. We gotta have a great and strong turnout. You know, this is a non-presidential election cycle, and in a non-presidential election cycle in the primary, the most you get is 30 to 35% voter turnout. That's abysmal. That's why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in. And you know people that aren't even registered to vote. Voter registration is over, 31 January.
Yes, sir.
But you also know people that don't even know there's an election coming up. And so it's not just about governor, it's not just about land commissioner. Pay attention to your judicial races. Pay attention to your county commission races. Pay attention to your school board races. Pay attention to your municipal city council races. Those are all important. Remember, you only get this one shot every 10 years because everybody has to be running for redistricting. And it's so important we do that. San Antonio can also continue to be a strong, constitutional, conservative city. You can continue to be the true guardians of Texas because you are the guardians of the great piece of history we call the Alamo. Anybody else?
Cardinal,
Yes, sir.
you talked about complacency, and I need to be a confessor here, or in my confessional, I should say, because that's where a lot of us are. We are proud of the fact that people from other parts of the country come to Texas because it's better than the others.
Yeah.
But it's also been said that the good is the enemy of the best.
Yes.
What makes you better than what we presently have? You addressed the line, I know. Well, give it to me again.
Okay, look at all of the legislative parties of the Republican Party of Texas and how many of them has the governor stood up for. The governor has the right to make sure that you secure the border. It's not happening. The governor never supported ending child gender modification here in the state of Texas. Ain't happening. The governor was against constitutional carry. The governor has not supported school choice, ending taxpayer-funded lobbying, curtail his own executive overreach. He thinks he's a constitutional monarch, not a governor. And so it's all of these things that are there. And so what you guys have to do is your due diligence to sit down and read and understand these things, because there's a lot of people that say, oh, he's okay, he's doing fine. Well, there was a commercial where Ted Nugent, my dear friend, said, if you were a pretty good bass player, you couldn't be in my band, okay? So we don't want pretty good. Let me close you on this. 3 weeks ago, there was an op-ed piece in Newsweek magazine. The title of that op-ed piece in Newsweek magazine was Welcome to Florida, courtesy of Ron DeSantis, the new Texas. I rest my case.
We love you.
I love you back. Yes, ma'am. Last one.
I'm a teacher.
Yes, ma'am. God bless you.
What are you going to do to help us retain teachers and improve us up above where we are at?
Yeah, we're 46, 47 out of 50. So first and foremost, we got a clean house in the Texas Education Agency. That bureaucracy is broken. But this is what you got to do from the bottom up. You got to run for school board. You got to find out who your Texas State Board of Education member is, and make sure we have the right people that are selecting the curriculum, making sure we have the right books. But what I can do is make sure that no taxpayer funding is going to any independent school district that wants to indoctrinate our kids. They want our kids educated. We want to get education freedom out there so parents have the choice to make what is best for their kids. But again, I need you all at your level to be out there making sure that you have the right people in these positions, because education is a local issue. It's not a federal issue, it's a state and local issue. But what I'm going to do is set the conditions for your success. And I'm going to make sure that all of this social, emotional learning and these type of things, it has no place here in Texas. All right, I got to go make a quick phone call. But I'll be around.